What the freak is up, my curious souls? My name is Tiana Hallams, and I am the proud founder of the Fearless Fulfillment Podcast. I'm a passionate enthusiast of life, and my main goal is to live and help others live their most aligned and fulfilled lives. Everyone needs a personal hype woman that's brutally honest and pushes you to be your best. And that's me, mofos. I don't care if you're a woman, man, cat, dog, fish. You deserve to live a life that you design. In this podcast, I help you to take control of your life. I use profanity. I push you to challenge what you've always known. And my hope is that we can evolve and grow together. Aloha and welcome to another episode of the Fearless Fulfillment Podcast. Folks, I am so blessed. I'm so honored to be here with you folks today. If you are new here, my name is Tiana Hallams, and this is the Fearless Fulfillment family. Congratulations, you just stumbled upon the best community in the entire world, folks. Why is that? Because we are here to cultivate a environment in which you may grow alongside other like-minded people who want to grow as well in every single aspect of their life. And if you have not known this about me or have yet to know this about me, my two love languages are physical touch and quality time. And since I cannot consensually give you a hug right now, I guess your quality time is going to have to do, because I value that time so much. I am so thankful that you are here. I do not take it lightly that you have chosen to spend your time with me today, because you could choose 100 different other people, but you decided to be here. So I am so thankful for you, and I'm so blessed to have you here. This episode can get a little controversial, and it's not in like a political or religious way. It's in a how you think trust and respect should be viewed. So just wanted to go ahead and tell you to strap in, folks. If you have not already been strapped in with your seatbelt securely fastened across the bottom of your waist, then you need to do that now. You need to go ahead. I'm going to give you a second. Strap in, okay? This episode is going to be about the virtue of trust and the virtue of respect, and how important it is that we value our trust, and that we always, I'm actually going to emphasize the word always, give respect first and foremost. So that in and of itself probably got a lot of people like fuming, like, no, respect needs to be earned. But I'm going to go ahead and explain why I think that you should give your respect to everyone until proven otherwise, and vice versa for trust. So not to be a cynic or anything, I'm going to dive first into the trust portion of this podcast episode. But I think that when it comes to giving people your full trust, you should follow the rule of guilty until proven innocent, rather than innocent until proven guilty, like in the court systems or whatever, because that has really been one of the biggest game changers for me in my life. And this is not to say that you should be suspicious of everyone and feel like you need to be on guard all the time, because that's incredibly stressful and incredibly scary to always have to feel like you're like no one can be trusted, we're all on edge. I'm talking about that deep, full understanding of trust where you confide in that person, you always are around that person, you're always sharing energy with that person, you are always constantly talking to that person and allowing them to be in your space. That is the form of trust I'm talking about. I'm saying that you can be open, accepting, and gracious of others while making sure that you're protecting your energy first and foremost, right? So a little story time, folks. A little story time. So in college, I used to give my trust to everyone. Like everyone was able to. I would meet you for the first time and I would be like, you know what? That person seems cool. I trust that person. And then when they inevitably effed me over in some sort of shape or way, I was so distraught and I was so hurt, because I'm like, wow, I would never do that to someone. Why would they do that to me? Anyway, my thought process was that I wasn't going to be dark and gloomy because some people were bad. I gave my trust to everyone I met because I assumed that if I wouldn't do that, or if I couldn't imagine betraying them in that way or fucking them over in that way, how could they, you know? So I held everyone to the same standard that I held myself to, and that completely backfired. Completely. And like totally backfired. I was talking to this guy and we were basically making it exclusive or whatever. And while I was away for a game, my teammate, who didn't make it on the travel team, by the way, ended up hooking up with him and hiding it from me for a while, folks, like forever. I ended up finding out from this guy who like ended up showing me like text receipts or something. I honestly forget how I found out, but I knew it was this one particular guy who was literally just a real one and wanted to let me know that he saw that and that basically the guy that I was talking to was not the right one for me. So shout out to who you are. I know that if you ever listen to my podcast episode, you know who you are, and thank you so much for giving me that tough truth because it literally changed my life. Anyway, I went on a complete and total tirade, guys, not only on her, but on him too. And I actually, like, super side note tangent, I hate when girls in relationships only come for the girl that like home wrecked, like quote unquote home wrecked the situation. Like, you need to look at your freaking man, sis. You need to look at your man because technically, the girl really doesn't owe anything to you if she doesn't know you, right? Like, if she's not your best friend or if she's not in your acquaintance circle and you don't know her, then she doesn't really owe you anything. It's really the guy that is the ultimate betrayal of trust. But I feel like a lot of the times girls will go after the other girl harder than the guy and like forgive the guy faster than the girl. And that does not make any sense to me. So the anger and resentment was equal for both of them, in my personal opinion. I was super bitter and immature, so I would make throwing up sounds every time I saw her or him and completely ignore them. Like, I was so petty. I actually got super good at making throw up sounds to the point where people actually thought I was going to throw up. So if we had to really discuss my acting capabilities, that should tell you that I'm ready for any role that anyone is going to throw at me. Okay? Okay. Besides the point. It got so bad that there was essentially a whole team meeting with the team and coaches to address the drama that was happening because I was literally like dry heaving at practice and it made it uncomfortable for all the other girls. I realize that now that was like super stupid and immature to do, but honestly, I don't care. Like I was seeing red constantly. Like every time I saw this girl, and it was annoying because when there's drama outside, like in your outside life, you can just simply walk away from that person, or that if that person has betrayed your trust, you can just simply walk away. But in this case, I had to simply freaking see her every single day at weights, at trainings, at freaking cardio, like blitz things that we had at practice. And I literally had to look at this girl and like feel disgusted every single day. So that was a giant fart noise. It was a whole thing. And basically, like, we sat down with all three of our coaches and also our freaking trainer and the entire team. And basically, everyone who said that they sided with me and like backed me up and understood why I was so upset completely flipped the script and ended up being like, you know, Tiana, we felt really uncomfortable with it, but you were so irrational that we didn't know how to tell you. And I'm like, you act like I'm going to punch you in the face if you disagree with me. Like, that was never the case. And if you were to come to me directly instead of being freaking cowards, then we wouldn't be in this issue right now having this freaking intervention on me. And not, okay, and a super side note to this girl had done that to other teammates. Like, they were talking to somebody and it was like sort of getting exclusive and she would swoop in just to validate herself. And I was the one being intervened. Like, I hate when the person who did the action first is the one that gets let off the hook because the person that they fucked with in the beginning came back harder at them. So now it seems like the person that was actually getting hurt is in the wrong, which is so BS. But anyway, I keep going on little tirades because this story still to this day heats me up just solely because of the disrespect that I felt from my teammates that I thought that had my back, and just the overall vibe that I was so unapproachable for some reason and so intimidating that no one could tell me what was what and what they actually felt. So that was just, I thought that we were all closer than that. And by we all, I meant the other girls, not the girl that I was dry heaving about. Anyway, I never looked at my teammates the same way again after that, truthfully, because everyone blamed me for being irrational, but no one addressed the fucked upness of what she did. And I only tell this story because my head coach told me something that has literally stuck with me forever. And she said, Tiana, you need to value who you give your trust to more. You need to value your trust. Not everyone is deserving of it. And from that moment forward, I adopted the guilty until proven innocent rule in my life. And it has absolutely altered every single thought process that I've ever been in. And it has really just made me sit down and take a step back when it comes to my trust and making sure that I value that trust more than anything in the entire world, because not everyone is deserving of it and not everyone should have it. Trust is a huge deal. It's one of the few things I can think of that takes more effort to build than repair. Like, once trust is lost, it's hard as hell to get back. And I'm definitely not immune to this. Like, I've lost people's trust because I acted out of hurt, insecurity, doubt, and fear. And I've hurt people. And I used to regret my decisions so much, to the point I went on an absolute self-destruct run for like 2.5 years of college. Like, oh, that's a whole nother story time, honestly. But now looking back, I realize that your most intense phases of growth happen when you're at your lowest. Whether you made those decisions yourself to put you at your lowest, or whether life just threw some curveballs at you and you're at your lowest, doesn't matter. When you feel like your back's up against the wall and there's literally nowhere to go but up, that's when you are growing the most. And in no way am I going to say that I'm proud of the decisions that I made back in the day. No way. No way am I going to sit here and be like, you know what? I needed to make those decisions to grow. Like, this was all part of my journey. No, I was still completely in the wrong, and I completely understand that. But what am I supposed to do about it now? You feel me? Like, what am I supposed to do about the mistakes that I made in the past? Do I just continue to resent myself? Do I continue to go on self-destruct tirades because I feel like I hurt someone and it was a horrible decision? No. You need to take that and have it fuel you for you to become a better person. And I can go on a whole tangent about that, but regardless, just know that adopting the guilty until proven innocent rule is not about being skeptical of everyone and being super suspicious of everyone and like, oh, no, let me check your phone, let me do this. It's all about making sure that you value your trust virtue over everything else, because it is so precious and not everyone deserves it. And people might disagree with what I'm about to say next, but I really don't care. I think that trust shouldn't be given to everyone, but I feel like respect should. Okay? Respecting someone takes absolutely no effort, in my personal opinion. I really don't think it takes any effort at all to respect a human being that you're meeting for the first time, or a human being that you're interacting with, or a human being that's right next to you, right? I just came back from Osaka, and the people of Japan have such an incredible way of showing respect and caring for one another. Like, it actually blew me away. They respect each other. They respect the earth, because literally that place is the cleanest place I've ever seen. And people always told me that Japan is so clean, and I thought that they were just being dramatic, but it was so clean. Like, even the places where you think it should be dirty, like in the core of the city or on the subway or in the subway, really, there's not a morsel of trash. I felt like I could eat off of the ground. That's how clean it was everywhere. Now, I'm not speaking in terms of respect, like street cred or whatever. Like, that has to be earned. I'm not an expert of street cred, so that is not going to be part of this episode. But when it comes to just plainly interacting with the world around you, if we met and interacted with people in a way that comes from a place of respect and mutual respect, could you imagine how many issues could be solved? Like, please just sit there and just imagine if everyone had a mutual respect of one another until proven otherwise. Like, what issues could possibly surface from that? I don't know. It would eliminate majority of the issues that we have in the world right now. If we were to all do that and have that mutual respect, there would never be another situation where a Karen runs rampant, or people who are rude for no reason go on a tirade against customer service people and people who work in the service industry. Like, there would never be another time like that, because you would have already a respect for that person, no matter what job occupation they have, or no matter how much they make, or no matter what their skin color, or no matter what you see on the outside. If you just already respected that person and interacted with them in a way in which you guys can be kind on a surface level, respect is a virtue that I feel we should give to everyone until proven otherwise. Whereas trust is the opposite. You should be skeptical of who you give your trust to and very reserved in that way and only give it to those who deserve it. And I'm not saying that you should respect everyone no matter what they do to you or what type of pain they put you through. Like, no. But that mutual respect for one another is the foundation in which we can start to create a world that isn't fueled by hate and fear. And obviously, this is wishful thinking, but honestly, I've always been a wishful thinker, so what is new? But isn't the whole point of us making adjustments in the world and society that we live in to get as close to perfect as possible? Like, we're never going to live in a society where there's absolutely no hardship, there's absolutely no sadness, there's no misfortune. We're never going to live in a society like that, but isn't the goal of constantly making adjustments to live in a world that we're proud to live in? If that's not what we're working towards, like, what's the point of all this? At least the hardships that come are not from somebody else being absolutely horrible to you, because there's already that mutual respect. For example, and I'm going to get a little heated again. All right, this is another little story time, really quickly, but honestly, maybe even not that quick. We just got back from Osaka, right? So we're very excited. We're very happy. It was me and this other junior girl with me that we decided to explore Osaka together. There is an unsaid rule. I'm not going to say the unsaid rule because there's probably flight attendants who are hearing this and will report back to whatever person. But me and the junior girl who have never been to Japan before, never flown there, never worked the flight, never been there, we have violated an unsaid rule of flight attendant-ness, written in the unspoken rules of the flight attendant Bible, okay? And we have no idea. We have absolutely no clue. Turns out one of the flight attendants that I was working with came up to me and told me that people were talking crap about me and the girl in the back, and they told him to come up to me to tell me that it was wrong of me to do that. And let me just tell you something. I sat there and I literally started to crazy laugh. You want to know why? Is because I could not have felt less bad about this. I could not have felt more humor towards this issue, because the fact of the matter is, if it was that big of a deal, you should have told us that from the jump. You should have told us what the rules were, because you knew that we've never been there. So let's say I've gone to Japan and I've worked the Japan flights like 80 times and I violated this unsaid rule. Then maybe you should be like, Tiana, you already know the rules, so why do you keep doing that? That would be annoying. If you don't open your mouth and communicate in an effective way what is expected and someone doesn't do that, that's not my problem. That really is not. And that's what I told him. I said, I'm an assertive person. If someone does something to me that bothers me, guess who I'm going to talk to about that? Guess. It's going to be the person who freaking did that to me. It's not going to be, my first reaction is not going to be to talk to the person next to me about it. I'm going to walk directly to that person and start to talk to them about it. For example, if one of the flight attendants who were mad about that certain event came up to me directly after it happened and I violated that unsaid rule that, by the way, for the record, was not anything that had to do with safety. It had to do with this whole nother intricate system of flight attendantness. If one of the flight attendants came up to me afterwards and said, hey, I don't know if you knew this, but this is just kind of how we operate and this is what we do, especially on these trips, because of XYZ. I would have felt super bad, and then I would have immediately apologized and been like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. It'll never happen again. Thank you so much for telling me. That would have been it, folks. That would have been the end. That would have been the end all be all conversation. But no, we have to go and do this petty stuff where in which I am not good at that anymore. I used to like to play games. I used to be super stupid and immature and dumb, and I used to like to play games. Not anymore, folks. You want to know why? Because playing games is freaking old. It's old. Not opening your mouth and saying when something bothers you is a waste of energy. You want to know why? Because now you have all this energy built up inside of you and you don't know what to do with it because you refuse to actually confront the situation that is actually causing you such annoyance and such bothering moments. You would rather talk to somebody else about your issue rather than come straight to the issue, solve it, and then it's done. It's aired out. It's out in the open. We can now move on. We can now move on in a freaking progressive way. But no, okay? So I told the flight attendant who told me this information, because he didn't name any names of who was talking crap about us. But I told this man, if I violated it, you should have told me from the jump. And also, on top of that, if I am new, why are you going to assume that I freaking know the unspoken rule? Guess what? It's unspoken. So how on earth was I supposed to know any of that information? How was either of us supposed to know that we shouldn't do this if no one told us? If no one gave us a heads up? If you told me and then I did it, then you know that I'm an idiot. Duh. But you didn't. So a rule of thumb and a saying that I live by to this dying day, and I will live by for the rest of my days, is closed mouths don't get fed. So how are we supposed to cultivate a respectful and safe work environment if the first thing you want to do when there's a conflict is be disrespectful to your teammates? Because ultimately on a flight, we are all being teammates, right? Your first action when there's conflict is to be disrespectful and talk crap about them instead of addressing the problem? What? I also feel like working on your individual communication technique and conflict resolution habits would also help in your ability to keep respect and to keep my respect, because I don't respect people who badmouth other people behind their back, period. If something bothers you, you address it with the person. We don't all have to be friends. We don't have to kumbaya circle in the back alley. We don't have to do any of that. It doesn't matter. We just have to work together as teammates in a cohesive and safe and respectful environment, because if you are now talking down to or belittling someone on your team, that immediately makes the entire project or whatever you guys are working towards so much harder to accomplish. Now, you're not just worried about the objective that you're trying to reach as a team, you're worried about your teammates that are supposed to have your back talking crap about you and hating on you for absolutely no reason. It's fine to be annoyed at someone. We're not all going to get along. I'm not trying to get along with everybody, but I'm saying that that mutual respect is so important when it comes to freaking having a safe and productive work environment. There's a difference also between gossip, where you're like, oh, I heard so-and-so was doing this now, and oh, like, that's really, really cool, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I also heard that this person is doing this. That's innocent. That's whatever. There's a difference between that and being a judgmental person and judging people for their every move. So personally, I think that if a mutual respect level is given already as a baseline, that would solve a whole bunch of problems facing not only work environments, but romantic partnership relationships, family relationships, friend relationships, or even just freaking acquaintance relationships where you're literally just staring at this person from across of the counter that you're ordering a freaking burger from. If you keep that same baseline level of respect for everybody, like, what problems would arise? Hopefully what I'm saying is making sense, because this is something that I'm super passionate about, and it is something that continues to come up in my day-to-day life. And I'm not talking about respecting people's political beliefs if they are violating human rights. I'm not talking about that. Just interacting with people around you in a respectful manner would alleviate so many issues that we face. And I love this quote: "Trust is earned when actions meet words." A lot of the times I feel like we give our trust to people because of what we can imagine them to be. For example, a lot of people stay in relationships because of what they imagine with that person, not because of the person that is standing right in front of them right here, right now. I don't control or would try to control any part of your life, but in my opinion, you shouldn't give your trust and your love to someone because of scenarios that you made up in your head. Give them those privileges based on the actions they're showing you right now. And if their actions are not matching up with their words, then leave. Then they no longer deserve to have your trust. Trust is so important because, not to be too cliche, it's honestly a gateway to our soul. Trust means that you can rely on someone to do the right thing for you. You believe in that person's integrity and strength. The reason why it's so important and why it hurts so much is because trust is directly linked to your feeling of safety. When we trust someone, we ultimately are saying that we feel safe with them. And when they betray that trust, that immediately takes away that safety that we felt, leaving us to figure out what the hell was that, leaving us to feel abandoned, unwanted, unheard. So that's why trust is so important, to be like this beautiful, delicate diamond freaking rose. Actually, diamonds are really, really strong. We'll say glass rose. Your trust that you have, that you are able to give others, should be like a glass rose, like something that's so delicate and so precious that you don't give it to everybody. And respect should honestly be like some sort of leather satchel that can stand the test of time if necessary, but also can be snatched out of your hands too. I'm not going to give you my full and total trust until it is earned, whereas respect should be given outright and then taken away if your boundaries were violated. Anyway, this was kind of a rant, and I'm so excited that you were able to be here with me during this process, because when I make these podcast episodes and I listen to them back, I actually am processing and understanding my emotions even more because I'm able to put it into word and speak it out loud, rather than them just being thoughts that overwhelm me and consume me where I can't organize them. I hope that something within this podcast episode resonated with you. And if you're someone that gives your trust to everyone and are constantly let down, it's time for a change. It's time to implement the guilty until proven innocent motto. Not in a skeptical way and suspicious way and very sketched out way where you don't trust anybody and you don't want to make relationships and you don't want to build relationships with anyone because you don't trust anybody. Not in that toxic way. That deep connection type of trust that I'm talking about, that is something that you shouldn't give away to everyone. But respect, we should be giving that to each other every single day. And guess what? It starts from within. And when we start to understand those concepts of trust and respect, I feel like we will be able to create a reality that we are happy to be in. We don't have to keep around people who constantly break our trust. We don't have to keep around people who are disrespectful. We start to have an easier time cutting cords with those toxic individuals in our lives, and ultimately create and design the life that feels in the most alignment to us at our core. And that's why I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm so ecstatic to continue to grow with you. And I cannot wait to connect with you on the next freaking episode. In the meantime, always remember that you deserve to live a life that is fearlessly fulfilled. All right. My Jollos. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with me today. My biggest hope is that you resonated with something here and it inspires you to incorporate it into your day, your week, your month, your year, and ultimately your life. Always remember, the world benefits when we're all operating as our most authentic, genuine, and fulfilled selves. I love you so much and can't wait to grow together on the next episode. In the meantime, get out there and live your truth.